Hello everybody, and welcome to Whiz, your family-friendly podcast where we discuss D&D Onslaught, Dice Masters, Heroclix, and the other entertaining games made by Whiz Kids. I'm WizDad. I'm your pre-release prick. I'm often duplicated, and I'm full of stuff you don't really want. I will be your guide for navigating the competitive and casual scenes of the Whiz Kids Triforce of gaming. It's Heroclix Friday. Today we are finishing our Wheels of Vengeance set review. We've got the super rares, chases, and legacy figures to go. Before we go too far though, let's talk about the WizKids Progress Report.
Kowalski, Progress Report.
If you didn't hear on the Wednesday Onslaught episode, I talked a little bit about some of the releases in November that have already come out. So definitely check with your local store. I know there have been screenshots of the Wakanda Forever organized play kit having already been released. And keep in mind, these organized play kits are very much like the ones of old, except they're organized a little different. Whereas before, I believe you got like 3 of every figure and like maybe a map. I can't remember, it's been a while. Now there are still I think 3 figures, but there are also a team-up card or a legacy card or something tied to them. I don't think there's a map that comes with them anymore. I think they kind of got rid of that and added the legacy or team-up card. If you look at the figures, they work really well. It's a Captain America, a Black Panther, and a Shuri. Looks pretty cool. Definitely check it out. Your local should already have them. Well, or hopefully have them. Things I don't really talk about much on the podcast, and I mean to. Don't forget that there are other releases besides Heroclix, Onslaught, and Dice Masters. A whole bunch of Critical Role unpainted miniatures have just dropped for the beginning of the month on the 1st. That includes a lot of the, like Lucian, you've got the Cobalt Golem, you've got Percival and Cassandra de Rollo. There's a lot of them, and they're now unpainted minis. I know they've come out with a lot of Critical Role sets, box sets, and every time I go to want to buy one, it's usually a little too pricey for me because, they're pre-painted, and pre-painted miniatures are a premium. So if you're looking at a box set, it's like $70. For me, that's a little too much. But these unpainted ones, sure, I've been dabbling in painting miniatures, and I'm down for it. Can't wait. There's a lot of miniature releases coming this month. The Critical Role ones are the ones on the 1st of November. Then we have some Pathfinder and D&D Nalzur's Marvelous miniatures that are dropping also on the 15th. So kind of the first and the halfway point of November is where a lot of those come out. And some of these ones for the Marvelous miniatures are pretty neat. There's a Reborn Paladin and Warlock. There's a Flail Snail. I'm thinking about picking up the Flail Snail. But there's also the WizKids Deep Cuts Dog Companions. So giving me some little dog miniatures, 100% I'm on board. Also, speaking of on board games, the Jock Mock The Winter Market came out 2 days ago. I saw this one at Gen Con. It's gotten a lot of good reviews. I wanted to pick it up because I think they were selling some copies or just previewing them, but it looks like an incredibly fun game. I might try to pick it up and then talk about it on the podcast or do a video about it, but that released 2 days ago, so on the 1st, so definitely check that out as well. And then obviously Wheels of Vengeance comes out on Wednesday, so if you haven't already gone through pre-release, I know locally we usually get a case for pre-release, and then we get our release stuff, which is like 2 cases and the play at home kits and all of that. Those are set to come out in 5 days, so that should be Wednesday. Yeah, should be Wednesday. So keep that in mind. This coming Wednesday, the set will release. If you're wondering why there hasn't been much out there, well, because we're still smack dab in the middle of pre-release. That just happens. It's kind of that awkward period where you mentally think, oh yeah, the set's out, and then realize, oh no, it isn't. It's not out. We're still in pre-release. So if you're still trying to hunt down figures, I don't own any of the set yet. Like I said, our pre-release stuff just came in this week, and we're hoping to host one on Saturday. So I'm hoping to pick up a few with this set. It's definitely very interesting. I think there's a lot of pieces that are going to be utilized, and definitely some pieces utilized in the meta, but it's better than advertised. The starter set also drops a week later. The DC starter set. We've already got the Marvel one. We haven't seen anything, I think, about the DC one, like any of the figures. So I'm intrigued to see what those are. And then finally, kind of rounding out the rest of November, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday calendar is supposed to come out on the 15th as well. So just keep an eye out for that. They also have the Wheels of Vengeance Dyson token pack scheduled for the 15th, which is kind of odd. I wonder if that was meant to be the one before. And then, once again, if you haven't pre-ordered it, it's probably too late, but you probably need to. The Marvel Heroclix Iconics Hall of Armor. We already saw one of them. It's got shifty focus Iron Man stuff. I love it. I'm hoping I have it pre-ordered. I need to go check with my local to make sure that we have an extra one on file, because from what, and you may have seen memes about it on Facebook, I tell you what, some of these iconics, man, they're getting hard to find. If you don't pre-order or you don't order it when it comes out, they're not staying on the shelves. They're selling out. So if you're not sure of whether you want an Iconics figures, as soon as you get the cards, make a decision and either pre-order it if it's not out yet, or see if your local could get one, because some of these have been hard to find. I'm still looking for Nightfall. So just keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and go into Fishing with WizDad, where we're going to round out the rest of our set review, starting with the super rares.
Get your gear, little man. We're going fishing. And I mean now.
So I was hoping when I got to the second part of the set review, I would have had more experience with the set, having played in it. But unfortunately, like I said, we did not get our pre-release stuff until this week, so I was not able to play it over the weekend. But if you haven't heard the rest of my set review, I do a decently deep dive into the commons and rares in last week's episode. Also talking about pulp a bit. Obviously, we won't be talking about pulp today because none of the figures we're talking about will be legal, unless we get into, I don't think there's starters in this. So yeah, so if you're looking for pulp advice, check out last week's episode. I go over what figures I think will crack the meta. But let's go ahead and kick things off. Man-Thing, 038. 90 points, only 6 clicks, but he has a thing that makes him harder to KO, so that's why, even though he's not in the golden ratio, he's kind of okay. He's got Plasticity. When Man-Thing is damaged by an opposing character within 4 squares, after resolutions, you may place him adjacent to that character. Cool. And then here it is. Man-Thing takes a maximum of 1 damage from attacks, can't be healed, and can't be chosen for Mastermind. Protected Pulse Wave. Sweet. So he's a hard to KO character. On the 3rd through 6 clicks, he's got Poison, and when he uses it, he instead deals damage equal to half his click number, which is up to 3 if you get him on his last click, so that's kind of neat. And then he's got Toughness. When this click is revealed, after resolutions, generate a water terrain marker in Man-Thing's square. He's interesting. He ignores elevation and blocking for movement purposes, but he doesn't destroy blocking. He just moves through it. He only has phasing. Of course, I know you could give him a Hell Cycle or just a Motorcycle if you wanted to give him some move and attack. He does have 12 attack, 3 damage, exploit, top click, and that's not bad. I don't really see him seeing much play on his own. He does have Monster and Mystical, so he could come out on his not last KO click and actually be kind of formidable as a pilot, I should say, because he is sidestep 12 for 4, Battle Fury, but he's on click 6 and he has that poison ability, so he would deal 3 damage poison when he's generated. I think I'd have to read I think it's when they're generated or they're placed. Yeah, you generate the chosen character from your sideline on its last non-KO click, so you're not placing them. So when Electra's KO'd, Man-Thing comes out. Now, of course, Man-Thing could just be just hit once and gone, but if you don't have some of the, premium, high, highly desirable pilots, Man Thing's not bad. 12 for 4 attack plus that 3 damage poison could be pretty good. And he has plasticity, so they're gonna have to probably try to deal with him. So overall, not bad. He is, I believe, he is unique. So, you could do worse. It's a pretty cool sculpt. Zadkiel at 039, 200 points, so this is a big boy. He is free, an opponent generates a Spirit of Vengeance bystander friendly to their force in any square on the map edge. Then, Zadkiel chooses a listed effect to use until your next turn. Your options are regeneration as free, modify attack and defense +2, pulse wave as free. Then another trait, opposing characters can't use stop, and then Zadkiel deals penetrating damage to characters with 2 action tokens. That's neat. The Spirit of Vengeance that you would give someone has hypersonic exploit 11 for 2 with super senses, and when Spirit of Vengeance is given a second action token, KO it. I think because the Spirit of Vengeance is so good, I don't know. The problem with these type of tent poles, he does have power cosmic or cosmic energy, so he can't be outwitted, but he doesn't do enough, I guess, for 200 points. He's 11 clicks, that's okay. Like, that's an okay amount. 100 points is decent enough to add some pizzazz to it. He does have Herald, Mystical Cosmic Deity, so you can add some things to him. Like, we know we're getting the avatars from Moon Knight later in next phase, so because he has Herald, you could maybe give him one of those for free. Probably not Conchu, because Conchu gives you prob, and he already has a top dial. But, if I'm looking at Zadkiel, he's okay. He's probably going to be one of those super rares that's like $10-15. I don't think people are probably going to play him. I don't think he does enough because he only has Energy Explosion, 8, 12, 19, 5 stats. Those are good stats, but single target Energy Explosion isn't cutting it in Modern. I know he deals penetrating damage to characters with 2 action tokens, but okay. He doesn't reduce penetrating damage, and he only has Impervious. If he had Invincible, maybe now we're talking, but Zadkiel's probably better left on the sideline, to be honest. He's an okay pilot to bring out 11 for 3 because he has Mystical, but even then I'm not sure. Like, even if you give the Spirit of Vengeance and bump him up to a 14 and a 21 defense, I don't know. That's a lot of hoping your opponent doesn't roll well, and in my opinion, your opponent typically rolls well. Ghost Panther 2099, that's 040. 90 points for 8 clicks, so that's just on the cusp of the golden ratio. Has traded Perplex and Shape Change. When Ghost Panther 2099 is KO'd, you may choose a friendly character with the robot keyword. This game, that character has this trait. Protected Pulse Wave. Use that character's name in place of Ghost Panther 2099 in this trait. So, Cyber Ghost, basically, when Ghost Panther goes down, you can choose a robot keyword character and they get Perplex and Shape Change, and then if they go down, then it goes to the next person. So it keeps going because of the way that it says use that character's name in place of Ghost Panther 2099 in the trait. So that's neat. That's cool. I don't know if it's 90 points worthy. Let's see what else it does. Toughness, when Ghost Panther 2099 clears action tokens, heal her 1 click for each token removed. All right, that's neat. Just traded toughness. And then a special attack power on the first 4 clicks, Blade Claw's Fangs. When Ghost Panther 2099 uses it before rolling, you may choose a number up to 4 to be the minimum result of the D4. If you do, after resolutions, deal her unavoidable damage equal to half the chosen number. Okay, that's interesting. So you could just automatically do 4, and you'll take 2 damage if you do so. But you could just say, okay, I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to roll and do 4 damage. I'm going to use blades and I'm choosing to do 4. That's all right. It's not bad. The downside to Ghost Panther 2099, I mean, good keywords, Avengers, Defenders, Wakanda, Warp World, future mystical robot scientist, good. 90 points is kind of a lot. Middle of her dial is just flurry, so you probably want to give her a health cycle. She's only got 2 damage most of her dial. She has 3 in the midst of it, so you're having to rely on the Blades Claws Fangs, which is not ideal. 90 points is probably too much for this. Maybe if she was cheaper, 70. I think they put a little bit too much baggage, too many points in that Cyber Ghost trait of Perplex and Shape Change. Because honestly, Robot's in an okay place, but it's been in better places. Like you have, obviously, Ultron, you have OMAC, you've got some pieces out there. You have the Nimrods, Super Adaptoid, if you really wanted to, absorb one of the Absorbing Mans. The Prime Absorbing Man, that's interesting. But outside of that, it's really kind of lackluster. It's not as cohesive as it used to be when we had like Future Foundation and some of the older pieces. So, yeah, I'm probably passing on Ghost Panther. Lilith is, I think, also interesting. 75 points, 7 clicks. The first time Lilith would be KO'd, instead turn her to click 7 and roll d6 equal to half the result. Okay, so she's got like a pseudo stop click. It has protected pulse wave. Leadership, when Lilith uses it and succeeds after resolutions, generate a Lilith bystander. I'm getting to the point where I strongly dislike leadership-based POG generation. Mostly because it just takes it down a notch. You want to play it. You want to be able to succeed with it. But, you know, it's a chance, and you may not hit the leadership when you need it. I know you can mitigate with tarot cards, but that's another chance of actually hitting that tarot card. The bystander she creates isn't bad. Charge, precision strike, 11 for 2, empower, combat reflexes, solid bystander. Steal energy when Lilith uses it and heals. Until your next turn, she can use Impervious even if this power is lost. She has no move and attack to start with. If you're trying to do it for the leadership, I wouldn't. Because that is not reliable, to be honest. So, probably passing on regular Lilith. Prime Lilith, on the other hand, let's talk about this. 50 points, 5 clicks, traded enhancement and empower, free. Place Lilith adjacent to another friendly character that shares a keyword with her. So just, she can kind of yeet across the map if you need to. Keep her in the back, because she does start with Plasticity, Poison, Mastermind, and Support. So keep her in the back if you need to, and if things get, you know, spooky, she could just poof, bamf herself over next to someone that shares a keyword and support them. So that's pretty good. Then she has a trade power action. Once per game, choose a character with the monster keyword on your sideline. If that character's point value is less than the total point value of all characters in your KO area, generate it on its starting click. Your opponent scores that character now instead of when it's KO'd. So that's interesting. It's a reviving mechanic. They immediately score the character, so you're not looking for something that's high points. It's obviously looking for something monster-based that's low points. Immediately what comes to mind is if you want to bring back another like Black Lantern Batman or something like that, that's like 50 points, right? That you probably lost a Batman and something else, and so you could just power action and he's back. They automatically score the points. That's a little spooky. 50 is probably the most I would go unless there's a specific combo that makes this nutty, because they immediately score the points. So who knows? It's a neat mechanic. It's one that's probably currently not playable unless there's a, some sort of trick that comes up that makes it work. All right, so the first, I would say, definitely meta piece is Chthon. So Chthon does two things. One, he's 300 points on his own, and he's 11 clicks with 4 stock clicks. So if you're playing Chthon, he is a big, just temple. You're not playing anything else on him. He's unique. He's 10 speed, 12 attack, 5 damage, triple target, pen psi. He's got shape change, mystical. He can't reduce penetrating, so there's that. So you're probably not playing him at full. Like you're probably not. You might be okay at some tournaments if you want something easy, but even then you're probably not going to succeed very well. But that's probably not what he's mostly going to be used for. He does have sideline active at the beginning of the game. Choose a friendly character with the mystical keyword. This game, that character modifies its combat values +1 when that character is given an action token. If they're not named Chthon, deal them 1 unavoidable damage. So he would, at the beginning of the game, choose a friendly character with mystical keyword. So he could choose himself. So he could just give himself bonus stats. So he'd be like a 13 for 6. And so he's named Chthon, so he wouldn't deal himself damage, so that's solid. He has another one when a character chosen for Elder God, Demon of Darkhold, is KO'd. You immediately generate Chthon from your sideline or KO area on click 1 in the space that character occupied. If you do at the end of the next turn, you lose the game. So that trait should probably never be used. The fact that you just lose the game. The fact that you lose the game could actually lead to some really wonky scenarios, if you really think about it. Because if you are down on points, or say you're up on points for whatever reason, and you want to finish the game, and you want to take them out. So you're up to, like, let's say 250 to 10 or something. They haven't been taking you out. They've got one figure left. You want to kind of coup d'etat, and you want to just bring Chthon out and just take that shot, but you miss, and then you lose the game. You could be up. You could lose a game 250 to 10, but you technically lose it because you played this trait. So you never play the trait. Really, you're just doing it to choose a friendly character with mystical. I've gone through a lot of the mystical characters. There's really not much I want to put this guy on currently. That extra stat, the combat values plus is neat, sure. But the fact that you take 1 unavoidable, a lot of mystical characters are kind of frail. We don't have a ton. Like, I think Black Adam might be one of the better ones. But even then, a lot of characters you don't want to take damage. And when they're given an action token, they take it. It's not whenever they get this. It's just whenever they get an action token. So that can add up fast. So you're looking for a mystical character that can either be supported quickly or has their own method of healing fairly quickly. And that makes it very slim pickings for mystical. Now, this could grow. Obviously, we've got hopefully 2 years of this figure to play around with. So to keep it in mind, currently I don't know who I would play it on. I don't think there's an ideal person. Brother Voodoo is next, 43A. He's got 75 points and 30. Mind Control Toughness. When Brother Voodoo hits Mind Control and hits after resolutions, deal each hit character that made an attack and missed during the action 1 penetrating damage. So he Mind Controls. If they miss, well, they still take damage. And then he's got a special attack powers hold dial. Free, choose an opposing character within range of line of fire and give them a doll token. When a friendly character with Mystics takes damage from an attack after resolutions, deal 1 penetrating damage to each opposing character with 1 or more doll tokens, then remove all doll tokens from the opposing character. That's neat. I mean, that's okay. He's like a non-aggressive attacker because he's like a mind control, dealing like a little bit of penetrating to you, but he has no move and attack. He does have prob at 30 points. That's okay. He does have shield, mystics, so he might fit on like a mystical Avengers team at 30 points just to give a prob and the shield, but he doesn't really do much else. So probably no to this Brother Voodoo. The other Brother Voodoo, though, the Prime 43B, has the same keywords: Avengers, Heroes for Hire, Howling Commandos, Midnight Suns, Shield, and Mystical. He's 45 points. Brother Voodoo starts the game with 3 Twisted Wish tokens free. Remove a Twisted Wish token. If you do, choose one. Deal an opposing character within range 2 penetrating damage. Okay, cool, that's neat. Or heal any one character 3 clicks. When another trait, when a Twisted Wish token is removed from Brother Voodoo after resolutions, an opponent may choose one. Place any 2 characters friendly to their force into each other's squares, or remove an action token from any character. So, as cool as those Twisted Wish tokens sound, there are ramifications. If you do that, your opponent can either swap 2 characters, put them in each other's spaces, or just remove an action token. And then, once per game, when Brother Voodoo would be KO'd, you may instead remove a Twisted Wish token. If you do, roll a d6 and turn them to the resulting click number. Protected Pulse Wave. He also has Mind Control, Smoke Cloud, and TK. He is a very solid support piece. He's got TK, he's got Prob, he's 6 clicks for 45, so great value there. Not great value as in Walmart, but like he has great value. Mind Control's not bad. Dual target, he sees through characters. The Twisted Wish token I think would need some testing. Like just being able to deal 2 penetrating to someone within range, and his range is 4, isn't bad. You probably always want to keep 1 Twisted Wish token to keep them alive, unless the game is getting down to the end. You know, just to have that extra like pseudo stop click. But it really depends on the setup. It might be too situational for Brother Voodoo to see a lot of play, because being able to like swap characters, just like place any 2 characters friendly to their force into each other's squares, can be a little spooky, right? You could be damaging someone and they just swap to their attacker. Maybe you go around to their starting zone, go around their attackers, and they swap to their attacker back. So who knows? But he's okay. The problem is his primes still have pretty decent competition right now. Next we have 044 Ghost Rider. Here is another pilot. He is mystical in Fantastic Four. Or I guess it's Alejandra Jones. So pilot capabilities, we've read about that before. I'll read it one more time in case you didn't hear. When revealing your forces, you may choose a single base character on your sideline that has mystical or Fantastic Four keyword and turn it to any click. Ghost Rider can use the standard attack and damage powers displayed on that character's dial. When Ghost Rider is KO'd, before removing her from the map, generate the chosen character on its last non-KO'd click. This game, that character can't be healed or replaced and isn't scored when KO'd. Protected Pulse Wave. So it's neat. It's like a pseudo pick a power. We talked about it a lot more last week, but you get some decent options here. The one option I keep defaulting to on a lot of these pilots is that OP kit Moon Knight that's 200 points, because he just does a ton as a pilot when he pops out. Unfortunately right now he's kind of expensive because not a lot of people got that OP kit. But if you want to hear more selections of good pilots, stuff like that, I did do a deep dive with the rest of the Clickstuff folks on the Clickstuff podcast. Just a fair warning, on the Clickstuff podcast, sometimes we let out some foul language, so keep that in mind. But if you do want to listen to that, feel free. We do a big deep dive into pilot, and I kind of go through all the picks for most of these pilots. Another trait that Ghost Rider has is when Ghost Rider is KO'd, place her on her card instead of removing her from the game. The next time another friendly character with Rider in its name is KO'd, after resolution, place Ghost Rider from her card into the square that character last occupied on click 1. So if you're playing her with other Ghost Riders, if she dies, well, she is KO'd, she's removed from the game, but she would go on a card, and if that character is KO'd, she comes back at click 1. That's okay. That's neat. The problem is she's just not that great on her own. She's got Hypersonic, she's got Charge, and then she has a last 3 clicks as Charge, Flurry, ignore characters for movement purposes. But outside of that, it's not 75 point worthy. The pilot trait, I think, is what's playing a lot into this. A lot of these pilots are costing more, especially if they're offensive. She does have Symbiote, which is interesting. So like you could put her out there and she could be playing with some of these, like, Carnage Silver Surfer and whatnot. So that is kind of interesting that she is Symbiote. But I mean, you might want one. I don't know how much she cracks the meta. She is unique, so keep that in mind. This next one we won't spend much time on. It's Rawhide Kid at 45, 50 points. He has super senses. When he succeeds after resolution steal, the attacker damage equal to Rawhide's printed damage value. Okay, neat. 6 clicks, like I said, running shot, 5 range, 11 for 3, precision strike. When Rawhide Kid hits as a special damage power, you may choose an unhit opposing character adjacent to the hit character. If you do, after resolutions, deal that character 1 damage. Okay. I mean, that's all neat. But relying only on super senses doesn't feel great, in my opinion. Animal, pass, police, vehicle. Okay. It's kind of one of those lackluster super rares that you're kind of like, oh, I got Rawhide. Woohoo. Up next is Headless Horseman at 46. Headless Horseman is interesting. 60 points for 8 clicks. Pilot for Assassin and Soldier. That's neat. Headless Horseman can't be healed. Headless Horseman takes maximum of 1 damage from attacks if the character can use Blade's Claws, Exploit, Precision Strike, or has a positively modified damage value. Okay, that's a lot of characters. Like that, a lot of characters would only deal him 1. Downside is no reducers outside of that. Like, that's it. So if they don't have one of those, they're just going straight through him. He's got leadership prob. Cool. That's great. Only phasing. All right. The downside to him is that he is kind of like, he's okay. Like, he could pick some decent attack powers or damage powers. There's no TK, unfortunately. I did look out there for, like, is there any assassin or soldier TKs? Because I could see Headless Horseman being a decent support piece. Leadership, prob, TK, that would be awesome. Relatively hard to kill. It doesn't exist. You could give him a bike, right? One of the cycles, give him hypersonic. He does hit for 4 top dial. The problem I'm having, the more I look at it, is you're really relying on your attacker having Blades, Exploit, Precision Strike, or a positively modified damage value. And sometimes that just doesn't happen. Like Carnage Silver Surfer, sure, they've got Range Combat Expert. Positively modified damage value, so you only take 1. Let's see, Prime Spidey, I think, has Exploit. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everyone will have one of these. But I don't like relying on my opponent to have certain abilities for me to have defensive powers. Either way, it's a very cool sculpt, and you probably want to have a Headless Horseman because there is potential there. Like, an army of them is kind of hard to kill sometimes. So keep that in mind. I think he's perfectly fine. He's just very borderline for me. Blade is 90 or 60. This is 047 Blade. Avengers, Marvel Knights, Midnight Suns, Monster, Mystical, Vehicle. His pilot is for Blade or Monster keyword, so Monster's pretty big. He has an attack power. His whole dial, Blade's Claws Fangs. When Blade makes a close attack, after resolution, deal 1 penetrating damage to each opposing character adjacent to a hit character. Cool. Very cool. He also has 2 targets, so keep that in mind. That could come into play because when you make a close attack, obviously can't use Blades, but when you make a close attack after resolutions, deal 1 penetrating to each opposing character adjacent to a hit character. That could be, you could kind of spread that out a little bit. And then the last half of his dial, he has a special defense power, combat reflexes, super senses, but increase the result +1 for each of the following the attacker has or can use: monster keyword, mystical keyword, and steel energy. So neat. 12 for 3. Okay. Decent sized charge. You can give him hypersonic, obviously. It's okay. It's kind of a charge piece, which I guess now every charge piece is a hypersonic piece. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I just don't know if I see it. We don't have a lot of Blade pilots either. I think we got 1 Blade. 003 Blade, I think, is the only one we have currently. Up next is 048 Ghost Rider. Another pilot, this time Ghost Rider Midnight Suns, which I believe also Moon Knight, the 200-point Moon Knight, fits on. This one is the kind of protection one in the sense that he has the King of the Underworld, Ghost Rider, and adjacent friendly characters can use their powers regardless of opposing effects. Protected Pulse Wave. So that's great. That kind of gets around Cosmo. You know, we don't have many Power Racers left, but we have Cosmo, we have Calendar Man, Leech is still around, and who knows what we get in the future. And he would kind of mitigate that. But he has 70 points, 7 clicks. He has Leadership, Hypersonic, Poison, Invincible, Team Player, Mystical. He has traded Regen and Willpower. When Ghost Rider makes an attack before rolling, you may choose that this roll can't be rerolled or have its dice replaced. If you do, Ghost Rider deals penetrating damage, and after resolutions, deal him 1 unavoidable damage if he missed all targets. That's kind of neat. Being able to do penetrating damage with an attack is kind of neat. Also, it's worthwhile if you're playing a bunch of against Saturnines or, I guess some Mr. Sinisters or something. It's like, well, the dice can't be rerolled or replaced, so I guess it doesn't work against Saturnine, but because your dice aren't being rerolled or replaced. But either way, there may be something to that. I don't know if I'm reaching for him at 70. Maybe, full range, dual target, moves through elevation and characters. Maybe. He's maybe the better of the 2 Super Rare Ghost Riders. I think he's okay. You probably want to have one just for that power protection, because you'd be surprised how much we'll probably see Cosmo. The Cosmo is probably going to be everywhere. And then the final super rare that we have is 049 Phantom Rider. He is does not have pilot. He has 75 points or 50. Traded shape change stealth. When Phantom Rider uses shape change and succeeds, he can't be targeted this turn. So that means by anybody. And then once per turn for all characters with this trait, the trait is called Ride On. When Phantom Rider moves, after resolutions, you may choose another friendly character with Rider in its name and move them up to 4 squares. Neat. And then the Legacy trait. When Phantom Rider's KO, choose a friendly character. This game, the chosen character has Range Combat Expert, Shape Change, and a minimum range of 4 Protected Pulse Wave. So that's okay. You're definitely not playing him at 50 because he's only phasing Incap, ESD, and Outwit. 75 points. He's a 12 for 4 with no attack powers. So Phantom Rider is kind of, I hate to say it, kind of lackluster. And maybe that's why people have, because if I was going to look at the super rares as a whole, this is probably where the set falters a bit. Some of the pilots are great, sure. You got the 2 Ghost Riders, Hailess Horseman, Blade is okay. But the 2 primes are kind of meh. Actually, now that I think about it, most of the primes in the set aren't that great. And maybe that's why the set feels a little weird. Because I know going in, there's a little animosity on the set of, is this another War of the Realms? And the super rares aren't really helping it. Now, I think the chases make up for it. So let's jump into those. The first one we got is Ghost Surfer 050, Avengers Cosmic Monster Mystical Vehicle. So this is probably one of the first. This chase definitely meta potential. The reason being is this trait. When Ghost Surfer moves after resolutions, generate up to 4 fire smoke terrain markers in any squares he moved through. Then make a close attack targeting an opposing character who hasn't attacked yet this turn, occupying any fire terrain markers regardless of adjacency. At the beginning of your next turn, deal 1 damage to each character occupying those markers, then remove those markers. The key word there is he moves. I guess it's not a key word, but when he moves, lowercase moves, you make a close attack targeting an opposing character he hasn't attacked yet this turn, occupying any fire terrain marker regardless of adjacency. So there are other characters, we've talked about some, that put out fire smoke terrain markers. It's any terrain marker, not just the ones he made. So he has a 200 point, which you're probably not playing, 100 point maybe, but you're probably playing him at 40. 40 has just 10 attack, 3 damage. Not much to write about, just 3 clicks. He does have another trait when an opposing character within range uses willpower and succeeds after resolutions, deal them 1 penetrating, sure. And he has a special attack power, which I won't go in, it just energy explosion, penetrating psychic blast, and damage dealt to opposing characters occupying fire terrain markers is penetrating. He does not have that on his 40 point click. He has it at like click 9 and 10, but not the top of 40. But the thought behind this character is the fact that you can have one or some other character with fire, that can make fire smoke terrain, go across the map, drop the markers, and then you can have 3 ghost surfers in the back just hanging out, and then they could just sidestep and make a free attack targeting one of those characters in the fire terrain marker. Now it has to be one they haven't attacked yet this turn, so you could reasonably, he has a 6 range too, reasonably basically have the person go over, draw fire terrain markers, make some free attacks, and then make your ghost surfers move around however you want and make another attack, and then they could attack the other person. The key thing is it's targeting an opposing character they haven't attacked yet this turn, so you can't just keep this ghost surfer churning a bit, right? Because he does a monster, so if you had like a mole man, well, I guess mole man's probably already retired at this point, but basically anything that would make a move 1 or something like that, he can't keep attacking the same person. But there's potential there, right? There's potential to churn out kind of a factory of ghost surfers that are going to be continuously attacking your opponent. Pretty good. Like, this is definitely a meta level chase. Also a great sculpt. Like, all these sculpts are they've nailed it on these sculpts. Spider Knight is next at 051, 60 points, has a unique charge when he uses an attack. He may instead target an opposing character adjacent to any squares he moved through, regardless of adjacency. When Spider Knight hits a multi-base character, that character gains a mobile in range 0 until your next turn. That is something to note. Then he has a special defense power, invuln, super senses. He does a Spider-Man team ability, and a special damage power, prob, once per turn when an adjacent friendly character would be targeted by an attack. If Spider Knight is not also a target of that attack, you may choose to have him become the target of that attack again. So like a pseudo mastermind. It's okay. Both those, the special movement and special damage powers, you want to keep tabs on going forward. If we get into a meta where multi-base characters are everywhere and they're significant, then maybe that joust comes more into play and he's playable. The whole subbing in for somebody, if he was a little bit more beefy, I would be all game for it, but he isn't. 6 clicks, only invuln, super senses. That could be eaten through pretty quickly. Sleipnir, 052. He's got 125 and 60. He is a pilot for Odin, which we have no Odins right now, Asgardian and Deity. The interesting part of Sleipnir, which makes him kind of meta, like right on the fringe, is his special movement power. Charge. When Sleipnir uses it, after resolutions, you may generate the character chosen for his pilot trait from your sideline on its last non-KO click, and that character can make a close attack. If you do, and hit, after resolutions, return that character to your sideline on any click. Otherwise, remove that character from the game without scoring it. So that's cool. That's like more definite than some of the others we're about to talk about, because you just, Sleipnir charges in, and then you generate, charges in, hits 10 for 3, because you're probably playing him at 60, not 125. So he gallops in, charges in, attacks 10 for 3, and then drops the pilot to make an attack, but you better hit, because if you miss, the pilot's gone. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, it does say when Sleipnir, this is a special damage power he does have on click 60. not click 60, but at the 60-point dial, when Sleipnir or the character chosen for his pilot trait attacks, attack rolls of 8 are critical hits. Okay, neat. Critical hits. It's still knockback too. Neat. The reason why he's borderline meta, I think, is because if you have a good Asgardian or deity, or maybe we get a good Odin at some point, that can be used reliably to hit with a close attack, then maybe. It is a may, so when he uses after resolutions, you may generate. So there might be instances you choose not to generate. Maybe they have a bunch of super sensitive shape change, and you're like, okay, I don't want to risk losing the pilot. But otherwise, I think it's possible. Anyone that generates more attacks, or has a capability of more attacks, I think is useful. So Sleipnir, also beautiful sculpt. So Sleipnir, absolutely, I think it's definitely got meta potential. Up next, we have Namor. 053, he's got 2-point lines, 145, 80. You're probably not paying the 145 because that only gives you 3 more clicks. Gives you another stop click, but 65 points is kind of a lot for just 3 clicks. Namor has traded Flurry. Flurry is free, but only to target characters occupying water. Okay. Hypersonic ability, which he only gets at top dial, so maybe you are paying 145. Hypersonic, when Namor moves, after resolutions, he may generate a water terrain marker in a square he moved through. He ignores characters for movement. And then he has Stop, Impervious. If Namor occupies water terrain, he can reduce penetrating damage. Okay. Namor's one you're probably not reaching for unless you were trying to build a shark team. Like you have another, like maybe you pair him with a Black Lantern Aquaman who makes water terrain pretty easily. The biggest problem I have from last set and this set is who is the water maker? Who is making consistent water? Because you have Camo, you have King Shark, you have Namor, you have a lot of water-based pieces that love water. Who's making the water? I know you can bring water terrain, with your terrain markers, but I don't think we've seen a bigger than 1 block, 1x1 water terrain. Maybe there's a 1x2, but I don't think so. So I don't know. If there is, that's probably the only instance you're really wanting to reach for Namor, is to play him on a team with like Camo and whatnot. Even if you don't have that hypersonic ability, that's okay. Play him at 80, give him a bike, so he has hypersonic, because then he can hypersonic in, attack, Flurry is free, and do 11 for 3. That's not bad. Not bad at all. And then he has a stop click. It's really, though, only playable, in my opinion, on like teams built around water terrain and dolphin symbol, and I haven't seen any. But we haven't had tournaments, so you know what? Hopefully that will change very quickly. Alright, up next we have Wolverine 054. Wolverine, I think, is also very interesting. He is pilot, Wolverine, Alpha Flight, X-Men, so solid. X-Men's awesome. Perfect. He's got a trait. When Wolverine moves, after resolutions, he may choose up to 2 non-debris terrain markers adjacent to any square he moved through and place them adjacent to himself. Okay, so he could disrupt some King Killmongers, putting down some elevated. He could lay down some pools of lava, whatever, right? Hypersonic. When Wolverine uses it and hits after resolutions and until your next turn, hit targets modify speed -3 and can't use speed powers. Ooh, that's pretty good. And then he's got a special damage power, which he doesn't have at the top of his 60-point click, but it's Battle Fury and Exploit. The reason why I think he's interesting, he's got good keywords: Alpha Flight, Weapon X, X-Force, X-Men, Animal, Martial Artist, Soldier, and Vehicle. Because he's got Vehicle, you could do Frenchie, like we mentioned before. I think that whole debris terrain marker thing is kind of interesting. Like, 7 clicks for 60 points is good. Being able to kind of just drop a pool of lava, or even multiple pools of lava on your opponent, hit them, and then get away. Like, make it where they modify speed -3, can't use speed power, so no size stepping out. Hey, that I think there's something to that. I don't know if it's amazing, but it's something. He's a piece you definitely want to keep an eye out for. Have him on your radar, at least think about him a little bit. But he's definitely borderline as far as playability goes. Cap Wolf is one that I know a lot of people have been hyping up. I have been one of those. He has Pilot Wolf on 2 wheels. I don't know why his says Wolf on 2 wheels and not Captain America Monster. Maybe it just takes up too much space. But the pilot could be Captain America or Monster keyword. He has 90 points for 7 clicks. At the beginning of the game, generate up to 3 004 werewolves on the red starting line. Leadership, when Cap Wolf uses and succeeds, after resolutions, he may generate an 04 werewolf on either starting line. So you can make a bunch of werewolves. They're pretty good. Like, they're pretty good, especially if you hit well with that moon trait that we're going to talk about here in a second. It's generate up to 3 at the beginning of the game, so you can opt to not generate any. On their red click, they have sidestep blades, battle fury. If they hit that moon trait and hit 5 and 6, they would be an 11 attack flurry. So, hey, that's something to note about, especially if you hit a leadership in the enemy territory. You can, that's a good 15 points in my opinion. The moon trait for him is what people are kind of raving about a bit. At the beginning of your turn, roll a d6 for all friendly characters with the moon trait. Cap Wolf can use the resulting effect until your next turn. 1 through 4, shape change. 5 through 6, free. Generate the character chosen for Cap Wolf's pilot trait on its last non-KO click, and that character makes an attack. After resolutions, return it to your sideline on any click. Because he has Monster, obviously everyone's been talking about that Legacy Hulk that could come out and hit somebody for 6, I believe. You gotta hit that 5 through 6 on the moon, but it's a free action, so you could do that away. Free action, hit the moon at the beginning, roll moon at the beginning of the turn, and then you could save that free action until you're in a better position. 90 points is kind of a lot, but he does a lot. He has Avengers, Mystics, team ability, and his special damage power is ESD, invulnerability, and super senses, so he's not super easy to take out. Especially if you hit that shape change on turns you don't want to do something. But the fact that it's a free and you're just able to keep making that character, it's pretty good. Just be careful of not hitting a crit miss that you can't get out of with that sideline character, because you might end up KOing it, and that would be disastrous. Up next is Vengeance, 056. 120 points for only 7 clicks. He's got to do something, right? Spirit of Vengeance, which Vengeance attacks an opposing character that took damage from Mystic since your last turn. He deals penetrating. Okay. If a friendly character that dealt damage from Mystics also had this trait, Vengeance increases damage dealt by +1 during that attack. That's not really that good unless your whole team has Mystics, which with this set is very possible. But your whole team really has to have Mystics for that to work. Special movement attack. Movement power, hypersonic. When it uses it after resolutions, generate up to 4 smoke terrain markers and squares you move through. At the beginning of your next turn, even if this is lost, deal 1 damage to each character occupying those markers, then remove them. Alright, so we have another character that is making fire terrain markers. Cool. He has on his last 4 clicks, he has a special attack power, Steel Energy. When Vengeance uses it, he heals an additional click for each action token on the damage opposing character. Vengeance deals penetrating damage to characters with 1 or more action tokens. Okay, he deals more damage later down the dial. And then here's his special damage power on the first 3 clicks. Bone Chains. When Vengeance hits until your next turn, hit opposing characters can't reduce damage by more than 1. So that's significant. The problem is he's 120 points. That's not that spooky. Like, you could probably take him out relatively quickly, right? If you blank as invincible, that's not that hard. But, 2-3 hits to get him out of invincible, and then he's on toughness, and then you just boop him on the nose and he's gone. So not a huge fan of Vengeance for that point value. He should have been a little cheaper. And then the final chase is Spirit Rider, 057. He has the same Spirit of Vengeance trait that I just read on Vengeance. He's 70 points, 7 clicks. He's got a special attack power, Energy Explosion, Precision Strike, Pulse Wave. Those are all good powers. When Spirit Rider uses Energy Explosion or Pulse Wave, and targets one or more characters that damage friendly characters since your last turn, increase the damage dealt to hit characters by 1. Okay. That is that's something. That requires your opponent once again to do something, which I'm not a big fan of. I want to be able to do this from the get-go. And then he has a special damage power, Probability Control Shape Change. When Spirit Rider uses Probability Control to target a friendly character and the final result is a miss, after resolutions, remove an action token from that character. Okay. Like, those are all fine. For a chase, it just doesn't do anything super particular, but Running Shot with options of Energy Explosion, Precision Strike, and Pulse Wave. Like, I love Energy Explosion, Precision Strike. That's great. So, like, that on its own is good. The problem is, he's outwittable, or she's outwittable, it says Kushla. Super Senses, Shape Change, those could be outwitted, so that's a little spooky. Yeah, I think overall, and this doesn't just go for Spirit Rider, I guess it goes for most of some of the chases. Like, some of them, well, let's see. I don't want to be Debbie Downer. Let me think of it more of, this happens with most HeroClix sets. There's some of your really standout chases. Like, we just went through it with Notorious, where the Black Lanterns were, pretty darn good. And then we get to the Deceased, which on paper look good. But, yeah, I don't know. It's, the chases in this set, there are a few that are neat, right? Like, Ghost Surfer, great. Sleipnir, pretty good. Namor, very specific. Wolverine, very specific. Really, you're looking at the meta pieces, the meta chases are probably Ghost Surfer, Capwolf. Sleipnir is a close third. But we're not done yet. We've still got the 2 or 3, I guess, play at home, release date kits. We've got 098 Ghost Rider, 200 points. That's a big boy. Let's see. Summoning Hellfire when Ghost Rider hits, or when a friendly character is hit by an opposing character. After resolutions, generate a fire smoke terrain marker. We know how that all works. Traded Steel Energy and Willpower. Attack power, special attack power, most of his dial. Poison, Quake, Giant Reach 4. When Ghost Rider uses Poison, opposing characters within 4 squares occupying or adjacent to any fire markers are considered adjacent and are dealt penetrating damage instead. Ooh. Okay. So his Poison does a decent amount. And then he's got 3 stop clicks. Stop, Invincible, Regen. Ghost Rider has Safeguard, Outwit for, I guess, his whole dials, or his whole click when he's on that stop click. Not bad. You could do worse. Now he does on click 3, 4 get just Flurry. 9, 10. Once again, Flurry. But 200 points, like 200 is probably where I want my tentpole. Because 100 points to kind of fill in with, the Scott Porters, some equipment, stuff like that. That's pretty good. Like, that gives you enough for support pieces to kind of boost Ghost Rider up. Get him someone that can have a ring, like a Scott Porter. That's not bad. Like, out of play-at-home kits, a 200-point Ghost Rider that does 13 for 5 with Giant Reach 4, Hypersonic. Yeah, that's not bad. He has vehicles, so you could put Frenchie on him if you really want. That would give him... Let's see, what would you take with Frenchie? I guess Precision Strike. Or Sidestep. He already has close combat, so you don't need that. So either Stealth... Frenchie could give him some powers. That's a key thing to take away. So, not bad, all things considered. Werewolf by Night, 099, 75 points. He's got 2 separate clicks, like he's got clicks 1 through 5 and then another 1 through 5. They change different colors, you'll see why. He has a traded Shape Change, Toughness, Free. Turn Werewolf by Night to the same click number of a different color. Cool. The 1 through 5, the first set is just stealth, precision strike, combat reflexes, outwit. The next set is charge, blade, super senses, battle fury. You kind of expected it. He has rise from the grave. When Werewolf by Night KOs an opposing character, generate a grave hindering terrain marker. Once per game, when Werewolf by Night would be KO'd, you may instead place him in an unoccupied grave marker. If you do, turn him to the blue, click 4, then remove that marker from the map. Protected Pulse Wave. Okay. Then he has 2 stop clicks, 1 on each of his 1 through 5 dials. Stop, Impervious. When this power is first revealed, after resolutions, generate a grave hindering terrain marker and turn Werewolf by Night to blue, click 4. This game, Werewolf by Night can't use his full moon trait or heal. Okay, so he's got a little bit it's a stop click. It's not bad. Gives him some longevity. It's definitely an interesting play at home piece. Some of these play at home pieces have been kind of lackluster. So it's good to see that we got another one that is actually playable. You're not just buying the kit just to get the map, right? And then the last one that we have before Legacy is, we have another Blade. I missed this one. Number 100. 50 points, the Daywalker. Steal energy, willpower. When Blade uses willpower and succeeds, heal him 1 click. Cool. And then a trait, or that was a trait, here's another one. Adjacent friendly characters that share a keyword with Blade have the PD team ability. Alright. And then he has a special movement power for his first 3 clicks, Flight and Hypersonic. Okay. This is more of a play at home, or, OP kit one is that it's 50 points, it's okay, doesn't do anything amazing, but, it's there. Not bad. Alright, let's get to the Legacy, because those are much more interesting to talk about. First up for the Legacy, we have L004 Ghost Rider. This one's also pilot, has Ghost Rider and Future. He has 2 traits. One of them I'll go ahead and say is the Spirit of Vengeance trait. We've talked about that. He also has Ghost Rider of the Future. Ghost Rider may replace his attack value with the attack value displayed on the character chosen for his pilot trait, which is good because he has bad attack values. If the chosen character has a standard power displayed that Ghost Rider also has displayed, Ghost Rider modifies the corresponding combat value by +1. Okay, interesting. It's 50 points for 7 clicks. That's not bad. Problem is his dial is really bad. He does have charge the first 3 clicks, but then he just goes to stealth, and then his defensive power after click 1 is, the stats are just 16, 16, 15, 15, 14, 13. Like a 13 defense is just really, really, really bad. So probably not playing this Ghost Rider unless something crazy comes out pilot-wise for Future. You could probably pass. Next up, we have Jack-O-Lantern L020. 40 points. This is a Sinister Syndicate. Kind of odd that he's thrown into here. It feels like he should have been in the Spider-Man set. Exploding Pumpkinhead. Once per game when Jack-O-Lantern would be KO'd by an opposing effect, instead turn him to click 1, and after resolution, steal an opposing character within range, 3 damage. Cool. So he is effectively 40 points for 10 clicks. Because he's 5 clicks. He gets KO'd. You turn him to click 1. Cool. The problem is there's not much to write home about the rest of him. He's just a running shot, energy explosion, 3 damage, 16 defense. He ignores hindering for line of fire purposes. Maybe I could see it on a Sinister Syndicate team where you kind of just throw him out there more. Sinister Syndicate kind of, has a lot of functionality, a lot of cohesiveness between all the units, giving out different powers and whatnot. So yeah, maybe with Jack-O-Lantern, that's a tough call though. It would have to be a really interesting Sinister Syndicate team for me. Satana Hellstrom, 50 points, L034. A trait, steal energy when an opposing character occupying a square with a fire smoke terrain marker begins to move or is placed. After resolutions, you may roll a d6, 4 through 6. Place the fire terrain marker in the square they now occupy. The attack power. So that fire terrain marker thing is good to keep it under them. Smoke cloud, but Satana Hellstrom may generate fire smoke terrain markers instead if no other fire terrain is on the chosen square. At the beginning of your next turn, deal 1 damage. So it details how it deals damage. Cool. And then she has Shape Change, but succeeds on a 4 through 6, but that could just be outwitted. That's okay. If she had some more support powers, I'd be game. Her manipulating the smoke clouds is pretty neat. Like being able to put fire smoke terrain markers around more freely is nice. Long dial, 7 clicks for 50 points. The problem is I need her to do more. If she had like a TK, had a, think of her more as a support piece, I feel like I would be more on board than I am currently. She's like kind of closer there to work with that kind of ghost surfer that I was talking about earlier. Up next is Jennifer Kale, L042, 35 or 30. That's kind of weird. I guess they had to give her another click number. A trait, Grove of the Man-Things. When establishing Thing teams, friendly characters with Man-Thing in their name gain all of Jennifer Kale's keywords. Her keywords are Battle World, Weird World, Champions, Midnight Suns, Mystical, and Ruler. I don't know what much, I guess they're getting Champions? That's kind of weird. When Jennifer Kale would be hit, you may place a friendly character with Man-Thing in its name in an adjacent square, and it becomes a target of the attack instead, even if Man-Thing would be an illegal target. So that super rare Man-Thing we talked about, that would work well with that, because he does take just 1 from attacks, can't be healed. So they kind of work in tandem. I like that. Friendly characters within 3 squares, this is another trait, friendly characters within 3 squares have opposing characters' combat values except range can't be modified when attacking this character or being attacked by this character. Cool. And then a special damage power, when an opposing character within range generates a bystander, you may generate a copy of that bystander. If you do, KO any other bystander generated this way. Ooh. That is interesting. That is very much like the green, was it Green Light? Green was one of those Green Lanterns that we got forever ago in like Rebirth. But for a lot more points. In a world with rings where all the constructs are considered bystanders, that is interesting. She does have a 6 range. She's relatively easy to KO. But, well, I say that, but if you're playing with a Man-Thing, which I think there's only 2 options. There's the super rare Man-Thing, and then there's a legacy one, which we're about to talk about. That is interesting. Like, she could see some play, and I think surprise some people with what she does with that. Up next is Black Talon, L043, 45 points. He's got traded Mind Control. Definitely a step down from the previous Black Talon, who was nutty, but does have a special damage power as whole dial. Power. Generate a character not already chosen for this effect from any KO area adjacent to Black Talon on any click it could have been on this game, and it becomes friendly to your force. One at a time, in any order, that character may move and or make an attack. After resolutions, remove that character from the game without scoring it and deal Black Talon 1 unavoidable damage. That is really cool. Like, that's very cool. I think Black Talon could see play on the right teams, because it could be on any point, right? Generate a character not already chosen for this effect. Make it adjacent on any click it could have been on this game. And it becomes friendly to your force. So that's interesting. Like, I don't know if you really want to play it where you're bringing in your own people. It makes more sense if you take out a friendly, one of their Carnage Silver Surfers, you're able to kind of bring another one in. Like, to take that Carnage Silver Surfer and use it. All of that's interesting. I think Black Talon is definitely one you want to keep an eye on. I could see people utilizing that. I could see them utilizing that. I think it's pretty strong. Not as strong as it was before, but strong. Next, we have Ghost Rider L046. I wonder, I guess it matches... Yeah, I guess the number they have matches the number they had in the last set. I was wondering where the numbers came from. Ghost Rider. Rider for hire is a trait free once per game. Make an attack. Okay, neat. Special attack power poison. He's 80 points. Free. Choose an opposing character within 3 squares with 2 action tokens and deal them 1 penetrating damage. And then a damage power, close combat expert, prop control. Solid. I don't think I'm reaching for him. I don't know if yeah, I don't know if I'm really yeah, I don't think I'm really going for that. I think he's a little too overcosted. 80 points. Yeah, he doesn't do enough for me. Man Thing and Howard the Duck. This is what's interesting. So pilot, Howard the Duck, obviously, and animal. 80 points for 8 clicks. He has 3 stop clicks on his attack power. His last 3 clicks have stop. Man Thing and Howard the Duck. It can't be targeted by non-adjacent characters. So that's interesting. Then he's got a special damage power on his first 3 clicks. Prop control when Man Thing and Howard the Duck uses it to target a friendly character, making an attack, and the final attack is a miss. After resolutions, the target may make an attack. And then Man Thing and Howard the Duck deals penetrating damage. Okay, cool. Dolphin symbol, only phasing. You'd have to give it some sort of, one of the cycles. But the point values aren't there. I think Jennifer Kale's the only reason you'd really play this thing. Unless there's something I'm missing with like an animal pilot. But it's an okay legacy. Two Gun Kid, L049, 35 or 20. At first glance, you're like, ew. But at 20 points, traded prop, Avengers past vehicle. He's got a special movement power only on the 20-point line. He doesn't have it on 35, which is odd. Which is flight, ignore characters for movement, running shot but don't have speed. And then he's got a special attack, his whole dial. At the beginning of your turn, choose an effect for Two Gun Kid to have until your next turn. Modify damage +1, precision strike, and then range, make 2 range attacks. Okay. Or range, like big range, make a range attack targeting all opposing characters within range and line of fire. Instead of normal damage, each hit character is given an action token and dealt 1 damage. Oh man, hold up. He's got a 13 reach effectively because playing him at 20 points, he's got flight, running shot, but don't have speed. So he's got 7 movement and a 6 range. You can choose the modify damage by 1. He has precision strike, and when he uses that running shot, he can make 2 ranged attacks. He's only got a 9 attack. He's got Avengers TA, so that would boost it to a 10. And you can use Perplexes to get him even higher. I don't hate that because that's 20 points. To cross the map, like have a 13 reach for 20 points? That's kind of nutty. And he's got Vehicle, which you could, funny enough, put Frenchie on him if you really wanted to. And traded prop. Oh boy, I actually really like Two Gun Kid. I did not consider this a good... I didn't think about him at first, but if he is only 20 points for 4 clicks, and he has all of that stuff going, precision strike, running across and just dealing 3 damage precision strike and hitting twice, that's not bad. And you could give him RCE somehow. There's multiple ways to give RCE. I don't hate it. I actually really like Two Gun Kid. I did not see the 20-point line. I only saw 35, and I was like, oh, well, not a good speed value. Like, no speed in attack, but move and attack. But Two Gun Kid, I think, is arguably one of the better legacies out there. Hella is 053A, 95 points. When a standard character is a trait, when a standard character is KO'd, after resolutions, you may heal Hella 1 click, generate a grave hindering terrain marker in the square the character last occupied, and then power action, generate a 006 zombie in a square of any grave terrain marker on any starting line. A reminder of the zombies, they are not very good. If it was generate a werewolf, I'd be game. But they are not. They are not. 20 points, 3 clicks. I don't think they do enough. Maybe to pop in empower, but ugh. Special movement power, but only on her middle 4 clicks is mind control, and she has 2 targets when she uses it, and she deals each character hit that action, 1 penetrating. That's cool. That includes the targets of her mind control and any characters that were hit as a result of the mind control. And then the last 3 clicks is exploit, but don't worry about it because it's the last 3 clicks. Hell is not very good, unfortunately. If the zombie was better that she could bring in, then awesome. Up next is Daredevil. Right off the bat, what I will say about Daredevil is he's going to get fixed. He's going to get an errata, so don't get too excited about him. I still think he's going to be good. He has a trait. He's got 3 lines, 30, 20, and 10. When Daredevil starts the game, turn him to any starting line and give him a stunt token for every 10 points of his cost. When Daredevil would be KO'd, if he has any stunt tokens, you may instead remove one and turn him to any start line. If you do, roll a d6. Roll a 1, give Daredevil an action token. 2 through 6, Daredevil gains immune until your next turn. So it kind of harkens back to, this is the biker Daredevil from Earth X, who was really, really good. This harkens back to that kind of don't die thing, but instead of having to roll 4s, I think, or whatever the number was, 1s, you pay how many points, kind of like Haha Joker was. But that's not all of this trait. He also has Daredevil is not scored when KO'd. When a stunt token is removed from him, your opponent scores 10 points, protected pulse wave. The reason why this is going to have to be errata is because the way it's worded now, Daredevil is not scored when KO'd. It's a may to remove stunt tokens. So it says, when Daredevil would be KO'd, if he has any stunt tokens, you may instead remove one and turn him to a starting line. So if you pay 30 points, you play him, he gets KO'd. He takes 2 damage, because each click that he has only has 2. Takes 2 damage to get rid of a token. If you do that, you could say, I paid 30 points for this. I'm not going to remove any stunt tokens. I'm just going to KO him. And then, based off of the wording, Daredevil's not scored when KO'd. So you could technically play 10 of these, because he's the ring says he's unique, or like he should be unique, but he is not marked as unique, unfortunately. Like his figure is unique. He also has the wrong keywords, which I think will be fixed. He has hell as keywords. So as of right now, you could play a team of 10 of these at 300 points, and you would not give up any points. Your opponent could KO all your characters. Now, the key thing is if they KO all your characters, I think they do inherently win, because you have no more characters, so the game is over. But you could play, a don't die piece, like a Catwoman, and then that's, 90 points-ish? And then play 9 of these? I'm doing my math way wrong. You would play 7 of these. And anytime they KO'd them, don't remove a stunt token, and they would not die. Or they would die, but not give up points. Obviously, this is going to get errated. There's no major tournaments before then, and usually they do erratas and clarifications either on release day or a week after release day. This will get fixed. Obviously, what needs to happen is if you choose to KO him, you remove any stunt tokens. That's all that needs to change. I think the mechanic is good. The thing is that if he is KO'd, if you choose when he would be KO'd, if he has any stunt tokens, you may instead remove one. Like, keep that option in there in the event that you don't want to keep bringing him back. But just say if he is KO'd, he just has to remove all stunt tokens. Because right now that one line is missing. He does have traded super senses, and he can't be chosen for Mastermind for obvious reasons. Super good piece. Even when they fix him, still incredibly good piece. If they don't fix his keywords, I hope they don't, because those are probably better keywords than he has or will have. Up next is Witch Queen LeFay. 100 points, 60. 2 options. L056. She has traded leadership perplex. When Witch Queen LeFay uses leadership and succeeds after resolutions, generate a scroll dugger bystander. Once again, another leadership based generation. Not a fan. Another trait opposing character combat values except range can't be modified when attacking or being attacked by Witch Queen LeFay or a friendly Scroll Dugger. Okay. And then she has running shot, mind control. Opposing characters within range can't use Battle Fury. Okay. The Scroll Duggers are... They have the Scroll TA, Flight, they're giant. They have just charge blades, invuln. Not bad. I was hoping a little bit more just because she was amazing before, or she was really good before. They went a different direction, maybe at 60 points, but otherwise she's probably a pass, unfortunately. Next up we have Hammer, L059, Passenger 0, and Enhancement. That's because he flies, but he's in kind of his hover tank. Makes sense, he couldn't carry anybody. He's got traded super senses. When Hammer uses it, increase the result by +1 for each other attack that has been made this turn. So you want to attack him first, otherwise he keeps getting bonuses. He does have a pickup power. Free, it's a attack power. Free, choose the standard attack power. Hammer can use the chosen power this turn. Okay. Leadership, Outwit. Cool. On a special damage power. Free, choose an opposing character with 4 squares in line of fire. The chosen character can use Earthbound Neutralize until your next turn. The only downside for Hammer right now is that he only has 6-pack Soldier and Vehicle. That's the big negative for him. For 40 points, he's well worth it. Having Leadership, Outwit, like a potentially super duper senses, he's got Enhancement. He can't carry anyone, but he could choose TK, he could choose Pulse Wave, he could choose Pensai, Precision Strike, because he's got a 6 range, 11 for 2. Like, these are all good things. Think of Valeria Richards, what she used to do from the Fantastic Four set. Hammer could do, and I love it. I think he's great. He does enable soldiers. Soldier, like I mentioned before, doesn't have a TK. When I was talking about Headless Horseman, Hammer does. You just can't use him for pilot because it has to be displayed. But if you're playing a soldier team, soldier's a fairly decent keyword. He gives you at least a TK for it, which is useful. So Hammer's pretty good. And last but not least is the Iron Man we've seen a long time ago. L062, I am Iron Man, Energy Shield, Deflection, Impervious. Iron Man can reduce penetrating damage. Force Blast, Leap, Climb, Sidestep is the special movement power in the last 3 clicks. He's only 8 clicks long. Energy Explosion, Penetrating Psychic Blast. Okay. And then special damage power, basically improve targeting everything, but not through blocking, just destroy blocking. And then free, choose one for Iron Man to use until your next turn. Outwit or Range Combat Expert. So you can get him up to a 12 for 5. Cool. He's 120 points. He can be outwitted, which is not great, but he's not bad. Avengers, Stark Industries, Armor, Scientist, pretty decent keywords. I don't know if he's really cracking the meta with what we have out there, but he's not bad. So that is it for Wheels of Vengeance. A lot of interesting figures out there. The Legacy, surprisingly, is pretty solid. There's quite a few pieces out here that I'm glad I own. I'm glad I have a Daredevil. I'm glad I have a Hammer. I don't have Two Gun Kid. I need to maybe pick up a few because I still kind of like Avengers. I know I am big on the Gotham City Underworld, but he does have Avengers. So having an army of them isn't necessarily bad. But overall, the set, how would I rate it? I've never done like a set rating before, but if I were to rate it, I'd probably give it like a C+, B-. There were some misses on the figures. There's not overall arching theme. Like Notorious, we had kind of big overarching themes, and I would give Notorious like a B+ at this point, or an A-. Wheels of Vengeance instantly for me gets a negative just because I don't like the concept of four-figure boosters when there's clearly enough room in the booster for another figure. But I do think the pilot mechanic's good. I do think some of the figures in here are interesting and like will have a splash. I like the 2 cycles, the motorcycle and the health cycle. I think they're both good. I think there are a lot of misses. I think most of the primes are misses. I think a decent amount of super rares outside of the pilots are misses. But the chases, the legacy, the pilots, the Hellcycle motorcycle bump it up enough to where I think it's kind of like a B minus if I were to call it today. But either way, on Wednesday, be sure to go out and get the figures for release. If you haven't already got some for pre-release, try to pick up, make sure you pick up your Hellcycles and motorcycles, pick up some of the figures you want. I don't think, outside of the chases, I don't think most of these are going to go for incredibly high prices. So you should be able to get most of what you want. Maybe Cathan will be a little pricey, but he is a unique. But that'll do it for this episode of Gee Whiz. Thanks for sticking through this hour and a half episode. My set review episodes do typically go a little long, but hopefully I gave you some good listening to listen to as you debate Wheels of Vengeance. I will see you guys on Monday for Dice Master Monday, so you guys have a wonderful weekend. See ya.